Okay, so let's talk about A Bronx Tale. The way it started. It's almost too good to be true, isn't it?
It really is. You've got Chazz Palminteri working as a bouncer.
Right back in '89 in L.A.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets fired.
Yeah, fired. Because he wouldn't let the super agent Swifty Lazar into the club.
Incredible. And that specific moment getting the boot,
Mm.
that somehow becomes the catalyst.
Exactly. It kicks off this whole process of him writing about his childhood, this kid caught between two worlds.
His dad, the hardworking bus driver, and then Sonny, the charismatic mob boss. That core tension.
And it's fascinating how that, well, negative event, being fired, turned into something so creative and lasting.
It really shows how personal stuff, real life, can fuel these stories that just connect with people.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't some studio pitch. It came right from his experience growing up in the Bronx.
Definitely. And that's what we're digging into today. We're going beyond just the movie everyone knows.
Right. We've got articles, Wikipedia details on the play, the musical.
Reddit threads, buzzing with fan thoughts, even the soundtrack list. We want to pull back all those layers.
Yeah, understand what makes A Bronx Tale stick around, why it still resonates.
Looking at all these different angles, the facts, the fan takes, the music, it gives you a much richer picture, doesn't it?
Absolutely. You see how it grew from that one-man show
To the film, then Broadway. Each version kind of shines a light on different parts of it.
So after getting fired, that personal connection really pushed him to write.
Seems like it. He starts putting it down, working on it at Theater West out in L.A.
Right. Building it piece by piece.
Took about a year, apparently, to get it to that full 90-minute show. And the whole thing is rooted in his own childhood.
Yeah, that semi-autobiographical element is just so central. Wikipedia mentions it draws heavily on his life.
Like witnessing a murder. That's in there.
A huge moment in the story, yeah. And his relationship with his dad, Lorenzo.
Who was actually a bus driver named Lorenzo.
That realness, that authenticity, that's the bedrock, I think.
And he was fiercely protective of it, wasn't he? When the play blew up.
Oh, yeah. Hollywood came calling. Big money offers.
$250,000. Even up to $1 million for the rights.
But he said no.
He refused, flat out. Unless he could write the screenplay.
And play Sonny.
Exactly. Both. Imagine having that conviction.
It says a lot about his artistic integrity. He knew the story was his.
It wasn't just about cashing in. He had to tell it his way.
So the play itself, this one-man show, it was powerful stuff.
Powerful enough to catch Robert De Niro's eye.
Hmm.
He saw it off-Broadway.
Smaller venues than Broadway, but still major New York theater.
Yeah, this was 1990. And De Niro was just blown away.
He called it one of the greatest one-man shows I've ever seen. High praise.
Or from De Niro, yeah. So he steps in, offers to help Palminteri make it a movie.
And agreed to Palminteri's terms.
Yep. Palminteri writes, Palminteri plays Sonny. De Niro even says, I'll direct it.
His first time directing.
And he offers to play Lorenzo, the father.
Wow. All based on seeing that show. Apparently, it was just like a handshake deal at first.
It really shows how much De Niro believed in it. He saw the movie already there in the play.
And taking Lorenzo's role, that's interesting, too. It's not the typical De Niro part people might expect.
Right, and Palminteri, he had this clear vision for the film. He wanted it to be about the working man.
To show the real Italian-American community, not just the mob stuff.
Exactly. He said his own father, the bus driver who played sax, he was the real hero. Lorenzo was based on him.
Getting beyond those stereotypes, that feels really important for this story.
It gives it that depth, that heart.
And that desire for authenticity carried over into casting, right? De Niro wanted real Bronx people.
Totally, which leads to that great story about finding Lillo Brancato, young Calogero.
On Jones Beach, just randomly.
Yeah. Apparently the kid did amazing impersonations of De Niro and Pesci from Goodfellas.
Huh, that's incredible. Talk about being discovered.
But it wasn't just luck, was it? De Niro was actively looking for that raw, real feel.
Definitely. It gives those early scenes such a grounded quality.
Though there's that sadder side, too. De Niro warning Brancato about fame later on.
Yeah, a bit tragic knowing what happened, a real foreshadowing.
A tough reminder about sudden fame, especially for someone young.
True. And De Niro, even though it was his first directing gig, he wasn't afraid to ask for help.
Right, he talked to Scorsese, Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
Got their advice.
Shows humility, wanting to get it right.
And here's another great detail casting the real Eddie Montanaro.
The guy who inspired Bad Luck Eddie Mush? No way.
Yes. And Palminteri said on Montanaro's first day filming, it rained.
Oh, come on. Perfect. You couldn't write that.
It's that blend of real life and story again.
So why did De Niro choose Lorenzo over Sonny, say?
Well, partly because it wasn't Sonny. It was against type.
Shaking expectations.
Yeah. But he also said he connected deeply with the father-son thing, being a father himself.
Ah, okay. So it resonated personally. It gave him that emotional anchor.
It really grounds the film, his performance as Lorenzo. He's the moral center.
Well, Sonny's the flashier part, maybe.
Sure. And speaking of crucial elements, that interracial romance between Caledro and Jane,
Yeah. What about Abe?
it almost got cut.
Really? But it feels so important.
De Niro fought to keep it. He saw it as unexpected, but vital.
Vital how?
Well, think about the time period, the setting. The racial tensions were real. De Niro felt that storyline helped break down some of the prejudice within the story itself. Made a statement.
That makes sense. Some of the Reddit comments we saw touched on that too, how the film shows those societal issues, Italian Americans, African Americans in the 60s.
And the romance becomes this bridge, almost, a symbol of connection.
Definitely. It adds another really important layer.
And you can't talk about the layers without talking about the music.
Oh, the soundtrack is incredible. It is the 60s Bronx.
Absolutely. You've got Cool Change, Streets of the Bronx.
Dion and the Belmonts? I wonder why.
Dean Martin. Ain't that a kick in the head?
Moody Blues, James Brown. It's just hit after hit.
It's not just background noise, is it? It sets the whole mood, the emotion.
Totally. Like that article mentioned, music is fundamental in film. It tells you how to feel.
And this soundtrack just nails it. Transports you right there.
It really does. So the film comes out, huge success. But the story didn't stop there.
Not at all. That original one-man show, it had legs, it ran off Broadway, sold out.
Won awards.
Yeah, Palminteri got a special nod from the Outer Critics Circle. Then he brought it back years later.
To Broadway proper in 2007.
Yep, another hit. Toured the country.
It just shows how strong that core story is. People kept wanting to see it.
And then it becomes a musical.
Right. Broadway musical, 2016.
With De Niro co-directing again, with Jerry Zaks.
And Alan Menken doing the music, wow.
Music by Menken, lyrics by Glenn Slater, book by Palminteri himself.
And Tommy Mottola, the music exec, produced it. He grew up in the Bronx, too.
Full circle, kind of. It ran for ages, over 700 shows, still tours now.
It's amazing how adaptable it is. Play, film, musical. It works in all these forms.
So let's unpack some of those core themes a bit more. Palminteri talks about love versus fear.
Inspired by Sonny reading Machiavelli.
Yeah. He thinks Sonny, in the end, chooses love, at least with Caledro.
It's an interesting take. Machiavelli is usually about, pragmatism, power.
Right, maybe ruthlessness. But Palminteri sees Sonny using influence in a more complex way than just force.
And that lines up with what some people on Reddit were saying.
How so?
Well, about Sonny being, strangely, a positive influence sometimes, telling C to stay in school.
Yeah, stay away from the life, don't make my mistakes.
Exactly, giving him life lessons, even amidst all the crime.
Which is ironic, like some users pointed out, Lorenzo's worried sick about Sonny.
But Caledro's actual friends are maybe more dangerous day to day.
Yeah, getting into fights, Molotov cocktails. Sonny was trying to steer him away from that in his own way.
It's complicated, not black and white at all.
And the door test scene. People still talk about that constantly.
Oh yeah, the locked car door test. It's definitely one of the moments.
A really memorable, maybe controversial example of Sonny's street smarts.
And his way of judging people, trust. Still debated today, isn't it?
For sure. Then there's the ending. Sonny's death.
It's sad, obviously, but it feels inevitable, realistic for that life.
Yeah, many see it that way. It highlights the isolation.
The lack of real connection deep down, something Lorenzo warned Caledro about, actually.
Right. He foreshadowed that loneliness.
So Sonny's fate really underscores the consequences of his choices, despite the affection for C.
His life ended violently, alone. It's a stark contrast to Lorenzo's values.
That tension, that pull between protection and letting go, that resonates with so many parents, I think.
Definitely. So when you step back and look at it all, A Bronx Tale is just so much more than a gangster flick.
Absolutely. It's this really personal story, Palminteri's story, about family, choices, loyalty.
Prejudice, growing up, all of it. And its journey, from that firing.
To the one-man show, the film, the musical, it's incredible.
Speaks volumes about the story itself and how relatable those characters are.
Mm-hmm. And looking at all these sources, you see how each version adds something, highlights different facets.
Hopefully this whole deep dive gives you a new angle on A Bronx Tale.
Yeah, maybe makes you want to watch the movie again or check out the play or musical recording.
Or just think about the real life behind it all.
It kind of leaves you with a thought, doesn't it? Think about your own life for a second.
Those times you felt pulled between different people, different influences.
What values ended up guiding you? What choices did you make? And what does that say about the story you're writing for yourself?
So I hope you all enjoyed this little talk about one of my favorite films. If you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe to Crime Breach. See you next time.